Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Radiant Light. This is Sunday, May 1st, 2022. We'll be continuing the Nag Hammadi, which is better known as the Gnostic Gospel series today, with the Gospel of Thomas. We've been on this journey for a while with the Nag Hammadi library, and I've enjoyed all of the different Gospels we've been studying. We have, for people that are on live this morning, we do have fellowship afterwards where we can take apart. We have a couple of the Gospels we talked about delving a little deeper in, because sometimes it's hard to cover all the information in 20 minutes during a talk, but some of these would take a lifetime. And the Gospel of Thomas is like that. It's based on it. There's 114 sayings of Jesus. Jesus gave to Judas Thomas, and he repeated them. There's also questions and answers in it. It's really an incredible gospel. And one of the things it doesn't, the gospels that we know in our current Bible, and a lot of the teachings we know about Jesus, focus on the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus. And this doesn't cover that at all. This is the meat of what Jesus taught. He went really in depth, and there's parables in it, examples. I mean, just all sorts of ways that he used the teaching. We'll see that come out. Now, 114 saints. I will promise you, I'm not going to cover them all because we'd be here for probably till next Sunday. But I do invite you to look them up. You can find them in YouTube. You can find them in the Nag Hammadi Scriptures or Gnostic Gospels Bible. There's a lot of places you can find them. And one of the things that, if you are going to continue forward with the sayings from the Gospel of Thomas, I played with them a little bit, and I found that the easiest way for me to do this was to take one saying, and I'm going to be doing this for a long time, and just meditate on that. Just sit with it, let it, kind of percolate and see what comes up for you. Because the teachings here are going to mean something different to everybody, because it's all about the internal process that we have. This is not about something coming externally or stories about people. This is us awakening to that wisdom that we have within. And the people who wrote these scriptures, who hid them, were known to be the Essenes. And we've talked a lot about the Essenes over a period of weeks. And they believed, they lived about 300 BC, and then within a couple centuries of Jesus' birth and death, they were basically exterminated. They were hunted down because of the teachings and their belief systems. And it's because of what they believed that they really set them aside from the rest of the belief systems. They believed that humanity had somehow become disconnected. Each one of us, when we were born into this realm, became disconnected from the source, from that true self, the truth of who we are. And a lot of those teachings in Unity, we also recognize that we believe ourselves to be separate from God. We believe ourselves to be, completely separate from each other. And if you've been studying Unity, or if you're going to, we believe in oneness. We believe in having that connection to source. And some people call it the higher self. Some people call it spirit, but that there's an eternal part of us, the part that never was born, never dies. We can't, because we're eternal. We recognize that that's our higher self. And that's what the Essenes believe too. But their goal is to help everyone remember these truths about ourselves, to bring us back to the truth of who we are. They talk about, and we talked about earlier talks about the skin that was put on in the garden, and the clothes in the Garden of Eden was actually skin to hide our light, because the Essenes believed us to be light bodies, that we have this light within us that just shines everywhere, and it's powerful. And through some forces of people just not understanding this truth about us, it was hidden. But also there were people out there who did not want us to know how powerful we are. And the Essenes, the goal was, they believed it in the city of Zion, they called it, and that it's above the earth, and that it's in a higher dimension of light, for us to raise up into that light body, to move into that, truth, this light city. And some people I've followed it and read about the city of Zion. Some people believe it to be a celestial city. Some believe it's UFOs. Whatever that is, that belief system. Then the Essenes were seeking to become that light body to return to the truth. So what happened, for anybody who hasn't been a part of the series, is that these teachings were so different, so radical. They were hidden. And they were hidden in Nag Hammadi, Egypt. These are the ones that we're talking about, the Gnostic scriptures. Dead Sea Scrolls were hidden in the Qumran caves, found in both 1946, 1947. They've been, we spent a long time interpreting them. And the truths never were lost because the people who knew them, we find from the mystery schools that people have studied in for thousands of years, the initiates, it was all hidden knowledge was always there. But also, as I've traveled in my book series that I'm writing, Amanda Fisher, it's based a lot on the indigenous populations. And as I've traveled around and spent time with the different indigenous populations, these same truths are there. You'll see they're coming out of the Tibetan monasteries. The truths have been hidden, but truth is truth. And you never could really hide it. And so these were hidden. So they knew that someday the day would come when we would be ready for them. And I believe that time is now. And I believe that these scenes we're talking about, when they talk about the light bodies and the rainbow bodies that we have, is us becoming multidimensional. And not so much us becoming multidimensional, us recognizing that we are multidimensional, that we have different levels. We're not bound to the third dimension here. We have, through spiritual means and different levels of knowledge available to us, and a different way of being. As you'll see in these 114 statements that Jesus made, is really the blueprint for how we should live our life. And as we do this, the truth is revealed to us more and more. So it's a lot of information, and I would love to spend time afterwards talking, and as with all of these, or set up another time to have a really good discussion about them, or even do a book study on them. So I picked out the ones that really stood out and are a little bit different from some of the other Gnostic scriptures too, so we could have some interesting conversation. One of the things that I noticed as I was going through them is, especially because we're starting the 4T prosperity class this week, is a lot of this is prosperity teachings on Jesus' part. He talks about the things that if we change our thoughts, changing our words, that we change our lives. And we understand that prosperity is available to each person. So I did see a big link to that. But what I'm going to do is go through some of these with you, and afterwards in fellowship, if you have ideas and things that come to you, let us know. Let's talk about this as we open up to the Gospel of Thomas. We talked about these scenes. So the light bodies, that's the best picture I could come up for it. They believe that we are light. And actually, you'll find in New Thought, you'll find in Unity references to that light body too. The first one that I looked at was, I took my stand in the midst of the world, and in flesh I appeared to them. I found them all drunk. I did not find any of them thirsty, for they came into the world empty, and empty also do they seek to depart from it. And as I was looking at this, meditating on it, and just delving in a little bit deeper, Jesus is talking about how when he came into the world, that we were so disconnected, that he found just about everybody, and I think I would say so today too, that we don't remember. We're completely asleep, that we're so into the material things. Not that material things are not bad, it's just what they mean to us. Have we fallen into that, where we're looking to all the material things in the world, all the things that are external to us? And what he found is that a lot of people weren't even thirsty or missing the knowledge. And they came in and left the same way they came in, many of the people. And it happens today, but I do believe in this reawakening that we're going through, is that there's a lot of people out there We're thirsty. They want this information. They know that there's something else. There's energies coming into the world and things that are really awakening us to it. And I think, from this statement, he was just disappointed that there weren't more thirsty. But he knew, because he was Jesus, but he knew that 2,000 plus years later, that this information would be here, that there was an awakening coming. He talks about that. And Jesus said, I've cast fire upon the world, and see, I'm guarding it until it blazes. So as he found the world asleep, not thirsty, he left the fire. He left this information. And it was being guarded until it blazes. Now we can say, it could be the Nag Hammadi scriptures, the Dead Sea Scrolls, all of the teachings from all the different Buddha, from all the different belief systems across the world. That fire is in the world and it is blazing, and that's the light. Because the light is can't stay within us forever. As we awaken to these truths, we awaken the light within us. And I believe that the fire he's talking about is that light. Jesus said the man in olden days will not hesitate to ask a small child 7 days old about the place of life, and he will live. For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same. So Jesus is recognizing our eternalness here. And the fact that when we come into the world, a child of 7 days is going to have a really full memory of the world before they came into it, before they came into this incarnation, these truths. And if you'll see, and if you're around small children a lot, you'll notice that they will come up with things or see things. A lot of times we say it's their imagination. There's a lot of wisdom there. And because they've been here for a shorter period of time. For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same, recognizing the oneness. Always, it goes back to the fact that we can put people first here, we can say people are better, we can do whatever we want. But at the end, we are all one. Doesn't matter what color we are, doesn't matter what our sexuality is, it doesn't matter what our belief system is. Because at the end of time, the end of the day, we're together. And another scripture, from the Christian scriptures, the New Testament, Jesus talks about becoming like a small child. We have to become like a small child to enter this way. Joe said it this morning, and with the daily words, the day word is joy. Everything that we're talking about isn't happening from our mind; it's happening from our hearts. And when we open our hearts, we open ourselves to that inner joy. The joy that's not dependent on anything outside of ourselves. The joy that children play with. The joy that children ask questions or explore the world. We have to move ourselves back to that and open our hearts. And the way to do it is just going within, which is the theme of this gospel. The gospel, Thomas has split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone and you will find me there. And then in the Colossians, chapter 1, 16 and 17, all things have been created through Christ. In him, all things hold together. Once again, we're looking at that oneness. And that oneness isn't just in each person. That oneness is in everything. Everything that's been created, you're going to find God there. You're going to find whatever you call God, the creative source, energy, whatever you're most comfortable with. It's there. As a friend of mine used to say, there's no spot that God is not. Because that's what's created this world. But then the next clue when we look at Colossians is all things created through Christ. Well, we're not talking about Jesus there. We know that Jesus' last name was not Christ. Christ is that perfection within each one of us. We can attain it. We can grow with it. It's the best version of ourselves. And it's through these thought systems, and that's where creation is. So yes, God created the world, or whatever you want to call God. That energy created this world. But we are part of that energy too, and we are creators. So we're a part of that wood. whatever it is that we see. So when we look at other people and we condemn them for something, we're condemning ourselves. You know, as Valerie Kaur said when she was talking about, you know, being an advocate, she said, when I look to someone who has done something really horrible, I look to the part of me that I do not yet know. So this gospel is trying to bring us back to that oneness. We know with the 5 principles of unity, the first one is it talks about that one power and one presence in the universe. We're not saying earth, we're saying the universe. It's God and it's good. And that's what this is all about, that presence being everywhere. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. And what I really thought about with this gospel, there's a lot of different ways we can look at it, but what I really thought about, what it brought back to is the fact that this is not an external process at all. We have to begin within us. Because as eternal beings, every answer to every question, everything we've ever known is within us. And when we can turn that energy back inside of us, and we can do it through meditation, prayer, and you know, and it doesn't have to be defined by what that is. Sometimes it's a walk in nature. You can go out and there's something so beautiful in nature that awakens something within you. It may be through a song, hearing words from a song or a melody, and all of a sudden you feel like you're awakening to this truth and there's something there. Or having that canvas in front of you and starting to paint, or being a writer. You know, what's coming out of me. I'll tell you, as a writer, and as I'm working on the Amanda Fisher series is fiction. As I'm writing, there's some characters that, you know, everybody thinks you put down your cast of characters before you write the book. And there's sometimes I'll get to a chapter, and by the end of that chapter, I've met a character I didn't know before. Like, hello, you know, where'd you come from? They say, well, it has to come from somewhere. Yes, it comes from that field, that power of imagination. But I would say, instead of me writing, it's born. It comes through me. And it's a really powerful process. So whatever that process is for you, whatever makes you feel that mystical feeling, that power, where you can feel that, you could walk out and you just feel that awe. What is that to you? How can you get more of that? Because that's where the truth is going to come through. That's that heart opening, that joy that Joe talked about earlier. And it's never going to destroy, when they're talking about it destroying you, it can never destroy our eternal self, but our life here, you know, how we interact with it, how we are as a community, these old thoughts of separateness, the lies that have been created, the Maya, as they call it, the illusion, been created on this planet, that will destroy civilizations, that will destroy things. So let's turn within, figure out what that is this week. What is that joy? What brings you the most happiness? And get more of it. Yeshua said, the heavens and the earth will roll before you. The living who come from the living will know neither fear nor death. For it is said, whoever has self-knowledge, the world cannot contain them. Once again, we're looking at that question, that self-knowledge, that wisdom that's deep within us. Now, when I look at this, the self-knowledge, it's the power, because we have the 12 powers that we really study. Power of understanding is the one that comes to mind for me, because the understanding is from our experience. It's from within. And when we work from the power of understanding, it's very heart-centered. And we can open up the Akashic records. Those are the records of other lifetimes. We can open up to that knowledge, and we can have it flow through us and experience it in our life today. So the more knowledge that we get, the more we aren't boxed in by a world that we think has a lot of different rules. We find that those rules were illusion to start with. Christ's disciples ask, when will the kingdom come? Jesus replies, the kingdom of the Father will not come by expectation. The kingdom of the Father is spread upon the earth, and men do not see it. So basically what they're saying is that the truth was always here. It was always in front of us. It's all, and we can reach out, we can go within actually, and it's here anytime we want it. We're going to feel it, we're going to know it, and then we will we'll see around us as that knowledge expands. We'll see it in front of us more and more. It's kind of like when you're car shopping and there's a certain kind of car you want in a certain color, and you don't see it. And then after you become aware of it and that's what you want, you see it everywhere. The kingdom of heaven is here. Even though the outer appearances oftentimes appear very different, when we see it and experience it, we'll have the expectation of it. And thankfully, it is contagious, because as the light shines in the world, it will spread. So where's the kingdom of heaven? Right within you. You had it all along. Make the two into one, and the inner as the outer, and the outer as the inner. The above as below, the male and female into the single one. So the male isn't male, the female isn't female anymore. When you make two eyes into a single eye, a hand into a hand, a foot into a foot, a picture into a picture. This is talking about the oneness. But before we can be fully awake, we have to understand that when we are not here, we are not a certain sex or color or anything like that. That all disappears. And in that oneness, because if we're one with everybody, then we really aren't. We aren't these archetypes that we've assigned to ourselves. We're not the Catholic. We're not the teacher. We're not the parent. Yes, we play these roles in this world, but our true self is not that limited. There are no limitations on it. So if we can just relax with that truth and expand to it, the world will expand around us. We will expand. That light will be huge. And Jesus said, congratulations to those who are alone and chosen. For you will find the kingdom, for you have come from it, and you will return there again. And here, once again, Jesus is talking about the fact that we are eternal beings and that we've awakened to the truth of that in this lifetime. So not only will we don't have to wait to return to it, it's here, but be rest assured, we will return there again. Wow. That's very comforting, but that's also makes me hungrier. And as we go through these sayings, and we're going to do some in meditation, what does that mean to you? How does that make you feel? Because that's what this is about today. How do you feel? Let's just breathe into that for a moment. For you have come from it, and you will return there again. Jesus also talked about in the different sayings, there was questions and answers from Judas Thomas. And one of the things he said, well, what about what I eat? Will that help me? What if I do something? What do I need to do? And Jesus never let it become that. Never had it. There were never rules. Because he said, he was saying, when we put these rules on ourselves, then we're limiting ourselves again. The only thing that matters at the end of the day here is us going deep within and awakening to this truth. And so what he was saying to me when I read that was that you don't have to be a certain religion. You don't have to be a certain sex. You don't have to there's nobody that's left behind. Nothing. So that, I believe, is what made this a very dangerous gospel, because it really gave power back to the person and the belief system back to the person. And it went contrary to a lot of what the belief systems in those days and today are. There's so many rules around that, when basically the truth is that God is love, and we are a spark of God, so that makes us love too. It's as simple as that. And the way to get there is not hard. Yes, we do have to deal with some things that are in our subconscious. As we come through these truths, we may awaken some things, belief systems that we didn't know we had inside of ourselves. That part can be trying at times as we're coming through that. But as we awaken more and more, open our hearts, we look around with new eyes on the world. We find something we never expected to find. We'll freeze up again. So as we come to an end of these Gospels, there are so many things in here that I would love to talk about, and I will happily talk about with you at a different time. We have to remember, in the traditional Gospels, and we know that the Bible was selected in the 4th century AD, the chapters that were chosen for me still, as I'm going through this, the meat of Jesus' teachings I find in the Gnostic Gospels. Yes, they're in the Christian scriptures, the Bible. I still follow it. It's still my textbook. In Unity, we interpret it metaphysically, can apply it to our lives. But Jesus really goes deeper. He's asking people to seek and find. And he delves deeper into that seeking. He gives us the blueprint of how to do this. So in other words, he's saying that this is a worthy thing to do. This seeking that we have, the spiritual seeking that we do, is our way back home, is our way to remember that. We come in, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, doesn't really matter. We come into here, we come into this world. We live our life. The question is, how are we going to live it? And I think that the best blueprint I've ever seen are in these Gospels. So, Jesus is saying, come, drink this cup of life. This is your life. Open yourself up to it. In the Gospel of Thomas, I looked at this, and you can say whatever your favorite thing. I love chocolate. So it just thought about this and said, as I finished it, this gospel, these sayings, 114 sayings, are meant to be savored like chocolate or fine wine or whatever it is you like. Savor it. Just rest with it. Spend time with it. It's not something to rush through. It deserves that. There's profound meanings throughout this. And what you come up with is going to be very different probably from what me or anybody else has, because they're written for each one of us. Jesus said in the saying 108, those who drink from his mouth will be like him, and he will be one with them, and they will understand what is hidden. The truths are locked inside of us. And this gospel encourages us to let it out. And that's a worthy teaching and a worthy thing for us to do. So have fun with it, you guys. So glad to be on this journey. I love you all. What I'd like to do now is to prepare for meditation and just rest into that meditation. I'd like to invite you just to spend a moment now with your mics muted. We can say our meditation affirmation together and really feel it as we do. Feel our heart opening, feeling that energy going from our head down into our heart more. So we say, I am open and receptive to the spirit of truth, healing in me what needs to be healed and revealing to me what needs to be revealed. We take a nice deep breath in. We can close our outer eyes if we like, or not. This morning, as we enter into the meditation, The music that you're hearing in the background is the 432 hertz. This one has been assigned to the Gospel of Thomas because it's about deep and profound healing. So as we just rest into this energy, we breathe into it. We can breathe in. And as we release that breath, just let go of any thoughts that you have that seem conflicting, old ideas, old energy. We'll just take a few breaths on your own. And with each one, you breathe in love and this new energy. And each one out, we release what no longer serves us. And as we're breathing, we feel this energy in every cell of our body, expanding. You may feel tingling. As we open, the crown chakra is open into the higher dimensions, into that galactic center. And we feel this energy coming down through us. The first chakra in the balls of our feet are open to the Gaia, Mother Gaia. We receive the energy from the earth that is a part of us and we are part of. And as the energy comes from above and from below, it's mixing so gently with our energy, allowing our heart center to open more. And that light is shining from within. If someone were to see you right now, they need sunglasses. As we move that energy around us, in us, as us, we know we're also sharing it with the oneness of the planet. And into that we celebrate. And know that we found that kingdom because we never left it. We are from it. We are in a beautiful kingdom. And as we acknowledge that, we also acknowledge it is our time to awaken, to continue that awakening. We think about one of the sayings from the Gospel of Thomas. A city built on a high mountain cannot fall, and it cannot be hidden. That city is you. And with the awakening, you cannot hide that light. So as we breathe into it, we allow it to shine. We share it. It is joy, profound inner joy. The Gospel of Thomas goes on to say, no one lights a lamp and puts it under a bushel, nor does he put it in a hidden place. Rather, he places it on a lampstand so that anyone who answers and goes out sees his light. And with this light is truth. Truth cannot be hidden. The truth of who you are. And as we go into the silence this morning, we do so acknowledging, asking, where do I come from? What am I? We know the truth is light, but what is the light? As we sit with that in the silence. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Allow yourself to become more aware of what that means. So we allow these words. No one puts a lights a lamp and puts it under a bushel, nor does he put it in a hidden place. Rather, he places it on a lampstand so that anyone answers and goes out into his light will see his light. What does that mean for you? You are the light. What does that mean? And as we come back with all these beautiful sayings, but things that we already know, as we come back into awareness, we allow that light to shine and never consciously dim it again. We let that light body shine through, expand beyond, heal the world. So we open ourselves up to prayer this morning. We feel and see and recognize that light that is shining throughout the world, allowing that energy to heal the places that need the healing, to touch them, to shine the light on truth, to awaken humanity. This is the time you can put your prayer requests forward. You can either say them out loud or hold them in conviction. We are praying with you. And if you're seeing this at a later time, there is no such thing as linear time. So we are praying with you.